Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Storybox, where I, your host, Jay Phantom, has the utmost privilege and honor to unbox the amazing stories of some incredible people from all walks of life and experiences. I'm delighted and grateful that you're here today. Now let's dive into the Storybox and hear more about our guest today. Well, everyone, I'm delighted to welcome Samantha Jade to the Storybox podcast today. Samantha is an ARIA Award-winning Australian singer, songwriter, actress, and former child model from Perth, Western Australia, but she currently resides in Sydney, the best state to be in. She has written tracks for artists including JoJo and Ashley Tisdale, and she was the winner of the fourth season of Australian X Factor, being the first woman to win the Australian series. And she subsequently signed with Sony Music Australia and released her award-winning single, What You've Done to Me, which debuted number 1 on the ARIA Singles Chart. You've done so many other things, like your bio keeps going a lot further than that. But Samantha Jade, welcome so much to the Storybox podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Hopefully I didn't butcher that introduction too much.
No, that was all right. Except the child model thing. I feel like that is so funny because I've been told that before, and I know it's on my Wikipedia. But it's so funny because I did modeling as a kid, but it was basically just like pretending you're walking down the catwalk and, learning things about confidence and things like that. But child model, I always think like those pageant kids. Yep. And it definitely wasn't that.
Okay. Good thing we cleared that up. I like it. Absolute pleasure to have you here. I'm really, really looking forward to actually hearing your story. Before we dive into all that, I usually have one question that I love asking people to start off with, and that is, what does success look like to you?
Good question. I feel like success is not what people would think that I would think it is. I think success for me is happiness, is being content, truly content to where I can sit down in my silence and be happy.
Where did this idea of success come from for you? Was it more of a gradual thing over time, or was there like a catalyst moment somewhere in your life?
I think over time, with obviously the journey of the ups and downs. And I think when I was younger, I definitely thought success was, much more of a work thing, and that it would be, monetary or success in how many records I'd sold and things like that. And then I think, once I lost my mum and that was a huge moment for me and other things I'd gone through, I feel like I understood that success was so different.
You mentioned, I guess, before you lost your mum, that you thought success now is towards happiness. So I'm curious, What are the things that make you happy?
I feel like I am pretty simple. People may differ with their thoughts on that, but for me, I mean, my puppy, as you can see in here, is crazy, but being with my puppy, being with my best friends, being with my family, a night on the couch with my partner watching a movie, like truly that is happiness for me. Being around the people I love, that is when I'm my happiest. Obviously music, I love my work. I love singing. There's nothing that can give me the same feeling as I get on stage. It's a completely amazing feeling that I can't even explain it. It's just amazing. And I think that feeling of when I'm on stage and I can see that I'm touching people with my voice and songs that I've written, that brings me happiness.
So having said that, this may be a harder question to answer, but we'll see how we go. So this is, what do you think the difference is between being happy versus being joyful?
Oh, wow. I think for me personally, joyful for me is when I'm more that happy, giddy happy. Right. Like when I'm on stage dancing and when, we're all laughing and when we're, playing games with my family and we're all having a great time and cracking up, and then happiness is more, for me, is more being content.
Yeah.
Like looking around and being like, okay, that may not be great, and I'm working on this and I've got to deal with that later, but I'm happy, and I'm okay to say that I'm happy.
I love how you brought happiness to contentment. I sort of reverse it a little bit. I sort of have joy as contentment, because I use joy like my dog, our old German Shepherd dog, actually taught me the real meaning of joy. It's this state of being. And we actually appropriately named her Joy, because when we lost our when we lost our very first German Shepherd when I was 8 years old, we were miserable. So when she came into our life, she brought us back to a state of
joy.
And we're like, okay, your name is Joy, because no matter if we got upset, angry at her, she would just be in the same state as she always was, just constantly giving us this utter sense of relief and contentment and joy and happiness as well. So I always used to say that joy is a state of being that I choose to be in, because it was my dog's choice. So therefore, it's my choice to be joy-filled. And then out of that comes the emotional side of things, which is happiness. So things that make me happy, like drinking water, like speaking to you, doing those sorts of things, that's happiness, which is, there's chemicals and all that fun stuff.
Yes.
But I'm curious about, you mentioned there for a moment, now we're going to get a little bit more serious. I don't mean to bring up old wounds and talk about that stuff, but you mentioned that you lost your mum there, and are you able to share the story behind that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge story. I was really young. I was 26, turning 27. And my brother was 18, not even 17. My other brother was 20, I think, or 19. And my mum was always one of those really healthy, like, goji berries and almonds kind of girl, always onto the latest health food fad, and loved long walks on the beach and didn't drink very much, and didn't ever party or be crazy or anything. So it was a shock when we found out that she had cancer. And we found out in January, and at Christmas, the Christmas just before that in December, we were at the house and everything was fine, and she was, running around, and because I go to Perth for every Christmas, picking me up, driving me places, and we were, having lunches, and she was completely normal. And then she got a really bad cold, to the point of, like, mums, they're always fine. They're like, I'm fine. To the point where she actually called me and said, can you call my work, because I can't go in, I'm really unwell, and I'm actually quite worried, I'm pretty sick. And that worried me, because I was like, my mum's always just my mum and she's okay. I was like, that's crazy. And she went in with a cold to the hospital, and basically they did like a scan kind of on her lungs, because it was quite a chesty cough. Ended up finding cancer basically in her breast that was actually benign, but it had spread. So it was she was riddled with it, and it ended up being stage 4. She was in palliative care. They gave her a few months to live, and it was just so fast. It was so fast, and it was the biggest shock and the craziest life lesson. Ended up being a crazy life lesson. And just so tough on the family, and how it's incredible in those situations that, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me and my family, and the hardest thing we've ever gone through, and also the thing that's brought us closest. So, it was just, I think it is the worst thing I've ever had to deal with in my entire life.
What was the life lesson that you learned when your mother went through all that and then eventually passed?
Well, she was very spiritual, very, very spiritual, very connected, always had been my whole life. And never was someone to be like, you have to believe in this, you have to believe in that. She just believed that you believe in whatever you connect to. And I think my faith definitely was stronger through it. I needed something to grab onto, and I also felt it being it was stronger in that time. And I think the life lesson was that there's so much more. There's so much more, I think, to whatever this is. And also that there are so many lessons to be learnt. And I think that my little theory through it was, I feel like there was a lesson she was sent here to learn, and I think she learnt it. And I think that it was her time. She had said she kind of at some point, through the cancer, said, I feel like I am not ready, but I feel like I need more time with my children to make sure they know how loved they are.
Yeah.
And we truly had never felt so loved. And then I feel like the week of my brothers and I going like, oh my God, the family's all back together. And we just, it's so crazy through this terrible time. We feel so loved and we feel so connected to each other. And then she passed. And so I do feel like there is something in that.
You mentioned faith and spirituality. What does that really mean to you? Like, what sort of faith do you hold on to?
Well, I went to a Catholic primary school when I was younger. Then that was just, school. The school was Catholic, and my dad's side of the family were all Catholic. My mum believed in anything, the universe, Jesus, Buddha. She just believed in a power. Yep. And so for me, I do feel like I believe in a power. I believe there's something. I know there's something because I felt it. And I just believe I suffer from anxiety. And when I go through my anxious moments, that power, that being, that light is always what brings me back. And I truly connect to it. It's crazy in those times. I go into this zone of just feeling like I'm tethered.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I was brought up in a Christian household. Mum is an astounding woman of faith and has been all my life. And, like your faith is an important part of your identity. And I understand about going through anxiety. I mean, I went through anxiety all throughout year 11 and 12.
Wow.
And they had to call an ambulance, I think, 4 times during that stage because I thought I was having a heart attack. Really, I was just having a panic attack. And it was so bad. And I was complaining. And because when people say, I've had a lot of like health problems, so a lot of pain. So everyone thought that I was literally actually having a heart attack each of those times because I had a lot of history before. So they're like, no, Jay wouldn't lie about this. He's really serious. So they call an ambulance. The ambulance does all the checks, and then they're like, "No, Jay, you're having a panic attack. Here's what you do. You gotta just remember to breathe." And it's that very thing, right? Like you hold on to your faith, and that helps you get through. I believe in angels. I believe in God. I believe that He helps you through.
Yeah,
and it's an amazing thing that when you're going through those moments of sheer and utter worry and panic, like I mentioned before that I had a issue with technology this morning, and you have those little moments of oh crap, like, and then you just in silence you just say help, I need help, and all of a sudden it just works out.
Weirdly, it's like okay, I'm here.
Yeah. It's a powerful truth that I think that when you hold on to it and when you really, the power of belief is in of itself is amazing.
Oh yeah.
All the time, believing in something, it's second to none. Like it's hard to explain, but when you believe in something, it is real.
Absolutely.
and it moves you to do things that you never thought were possible.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, like I was saying before with my mum, that reignited that for me, because she was so sick and she was on her deathbed, basically. Like, she couldn't walk. She went into like 2 comas through the whole thing. It was so crazy. And we're just sitting by her bed going, oh my gosh. And she would look at us and say, do you believe? And we're like, yeah. And she was like, no, do you believe? And we're like, yeah, we believe. And she's like, you have to believe. She's like, you have to believe. And when you believe, truly believe, you're going to be okay. She's like, I'm going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. She had this, it's like whatever it is was like, listen, it's going to be all right. Okay. And they were like, tell them that it's going to be okay. And truly, it reignited my faith and my, everything that I always knew. I feel like you always know in your heart and your soul and your, whatever you want to call it, your being, but it brought it back to being a thing in my life.
I think it's powerful. I appreciate you sharing that story. I mean, it's helpful to me in many ways, because I can relate. I lost my grandfather when I was 11 years old, my mentor, my idol, like someone that I love dearly. He died he had a stroke and then was in the nursing home for 7-8 months after that, and then ended up having another stroke and passed peacefully in his sleep. And then not long after that, ended up losing my grandmother. It was like if I was to share with you half the stories that my family's been through, you'd be like, what? But it's like one of those things, I've learned to be grateful for every single trial, challenge, and it's taught me a lot about life. Made me more appreciative of what I have, not what I don't. And I think that when you lose someone, it gives you like a massive wake-up call that we're not guaranteed of tomorrow. We're finite beings. We have such a short time as this on this earth to use to the very best of our ability. And I've seen and I've heard your work. It's uplifting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I was listening to Bounce.
Oh yeah. The fun one.
Yeah, the fun one. Like gives you like a bit of a boost. And but you've got all these amazing songs, and I've always been curious about this idea of creativity and where these songs actually come from. So my next question for you, before we work our way how you got started in all this, is really, what does creativity mean to you?
I feel like creativity is something you cannot force. It can't, because with sessions, with what I do is you go into a room a lot of the time and you're with people you've never met, and you sit down and, the label or whoever it is like, all right, write us a song, write us a hit. And that's just not how it works. It's just, you can't do that. And sometimes creativity comes at the weirdest moments. Like, I'll be walking my puppy and I will think of a lyric, or I'll think of a melody, or whatever it may be. And I do believe it's connected again to the higher power and whatever it is, because it's so strange when I'm feeling a certain way. And, it's, you go through life and you wear your armor and you wear your smile and you go through and you deal. But your soul knows how you're really feeling and what you're truly going through. And I feel like sometimes I'll get these melodies or these song lyrics that come to me through something that I'm like, that's weird, because that's exactly how I'm really feeling. So I think creativity again is from something up there, and I think it's filtered through to us. And it's an amazing thing, like being able to put, write a song and put your thoughts into a song is, I love that I have been given the gift to be able to do that.
And where did the inspiration come from to write Bounce?
Bounce was a really fun one, and I feel like that day, the day actually my friend actually said to me, I think you should write a song called Bounce. And I was like, oh yeah. And she's like, like we're bouncing your step, and we had just been kind of doing like a tour. And so we'd been performing heaps and we'd been dancing heaps. And like I said, that's my joyful place and my happy place. And it had just been such a nice experience, and we were in such a happy, bouncy place. And so I wanted to write about that. What puts the bounce back in your step. And my experience when I first met my fiance now was that, it was at a time in my life where I'd lost my mum. I was trying to figure out what life was after that, and and move into the new space that I'd been dealt. And, he came into my life after that. I think it was a few, maybe nearly a year after that. But he'd put a bounce back in my step, and he gave me that excitement again that you kind of long to feel after you've been through something quite dark.
How did you meet your now fiance?
We actually know each other. We've known each other for years. We knew each other through work. And so I'd known him for a really, really long time, but never ever thought anything of him in that way, truly. I just was like, oh, he's really nice. And then I think after my mum passed away, I was making my record, and then he kind of came into my life after that, and I saw more into my life after that, and I started to see him in a different light, in a different way. And then now we've been together for nearly 5 years.
Wow. So who made the first move? Was it him or you?
Definitely him. He definitely made the first move. Chased me down.
Well done to him. Where did your inspiration come from for your winning single, What You've Done to Me?
What You've Done to Me, that was given to me. So when you win the show, they basically come to you with the songs. But I was really happy with that one because, I know it's about a relationship, but I felt like I could sing it about like what you've done to me, like what Australia ultimately had given me, like a chance. So every time I sung that song, it was from a really nice place.
It's such a powerful song. Like
it is, isn't it?
I remember when it first came out, I'm like, this is so cool. This is
really
awesome.
Song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for that, that single, and same with Bounce as well, because I think Bounce is listen to it on Kiss and Nova. Each time it comes on, turn it up.
Thank you.
Let's go.
It's fun.
You've also, so what I want to do is go back a little bit. And was singing always on the cards for you when you grew up? Did you always want to be your own artist and write songs?
I did. I loved, like, I don't know if you remember Video Hits.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Remember Video Hits? I used to tape that, like, where you'd put the tape in and you'd record it. And I used to take that and watch the videos back, the top like 20 or whatever countdown. And I would watch it back and be like, I want to make a video one day, and I want to be in my own video, and I want to write my own album, and I want to do a concert. And yeah, it was just always my dream. And I feel for people who don't know what they want to do, because I know my brother struggled a little bit with that. But for me, I was so blessed that I knew from a very young age. Didn't know how hard the industry was going to be though. But I loved singing. And like I said before, what singing does for me and gives me, it gave me that then. It was like this, I unlocked this little superpower that gave me this incredible, like, euphoric feeling.
And then so I guess you went to school. Did you go to university at all?
I didn't go to uni. I did want to go actually study music and, instruments and playing and all of that was my idea. And then I kind of got discovered when I was really, really young and had a chance to go to the States. And any singer knows, like, if you want to kind of make it in pop music especially, going to the States is the best option.
So
And
you're
so
in LA, right?
I did that. Yeah, yeah. And then I lived there for 8 years.
And what was your experience like in LA?
Tough. It was tough. LA is a really tough place. You know, it's a weird place because it's always sunny and there's beautiful palm trees and it looks, you know, everyone's like a Barbie doll and a Ken doll, like everyone's beautiful. And then there is a darkness about LA because it is the city of I think broken dreams as well as dreams, because everyone is there to make it, and the people that know that and use that in the wrong way are very powerful. So yeah, it's a tough city if you don't have a concrete base of family and friends, or family or friends. It will swallow you up.
Did you find that it swallowed you up a little bit?
I think it took away a lot of my security, a lot of my confidence. When I came home, I was literally, I feel like a bit of a shell of a human. I had lost all of that. I mean, I think age does that too, in life in general. But LA is ruthless. It's ruthless, and you do feel like you are one in a million, but not in the right way. You're just literally just one of the million.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it definitely did. I was lucky. I always had someone. I had my parents there. And then when my parents moved, I had my partner at the time who was very supportive. And then I had my best friend, Zach, who is like my brother, who is just an absolute incredible human. So I was always lucky I had an anchor at all times.
So in saying all that, did you have any sort of little moments of success to say, look, I'm here for a specific reason, I'm actually going somewhere?
Yeah, and that's what kept me there. And that's the thing about LA is that, you know, it's the weirdest city. You can have the darkest of days and then one phone call can truly change things. And so I kept having those moments, and that's what kept me there, because I was like, oh, well, that's great, you know, and then it would kind of be like crickets for like 2 months and then it would be something else. But yeah, I did. I got signed to a major label, which is tough. The label was Jive Records, and they had, you know, Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake and I think Backstreet Boys and Chris Brown, like just people that I was like, oh, I love these artists. I love their music. I love what they do. And, you know, if you want to do pop, that is the label you want to be signed to. So that was my first thing. And then I worked on a record on David Guetta, who's a crazy, amazing DJ, and I got a song on his album. And so it just kept being little things that I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. But they weren't like, you know, through the space of 8 years, they were small parts.
And then what ended up happening that sort of made you want to come back to Australia?
I feel like I just hit a wall. I feel like I knew. Are you okay? I feel like I hit a wall. I knew that. I knew my time was up. It's really hard to explain. I just knew it. I was like, I don't have it in me anymore to keep trying, and I just kind of, I was done. I was just done. I knew I needed my family, and I needed my parents, and I needed the people who truly love me for me. Can you give me 1 second? Because my dog is eating something he shouldn't be eating. Hold on. You're right. What have you got in your mouth? What have you got in your mouth? You're right. Okay, there you go. It's eating my hair tie.
Don't worry. I know the feeling with our dog. She eats pretty much everything.
Oh my gosh, and it's scary because you're like, are you choking? Are you okay? Is everything all right down there?
It rocks. It's annoying.
Oh, rocks, yeah.
But you knew your time was up. You come back to Australia, and then you join X Factor.
Yeah. So that was a real thought out thing. I I was like, why is it not working for me? And you don't, of course you can be like, oh, it's because of this and it's because of them and it's because, but you have to at some point go, okay, but I am to blame as well. And what am I doing that's not working? Why? And what is it about, the public they're not getting me? And then I realized that the public didn't even know me. I had never been in the public eye. It had always been that I was behind the scenes. And I thought the next thing I feel like I need to do is show the public who I am. And the way to do that is a TV show in Australia. And so I thought, X Factor. I loved the X Factor. I loved the show. I feel like it made stars. I feel like every person I had seen from that show, like Leona Lewis and at the time Reese Maston and people like that, I was like, they're artists. They are real true artists. And I feel like the show, when you go on, if you have a clear vision of who you are, they just highlight it. And so that's why I decided to try out. And my parents were like, do it, and then then it'll put you out of your misery. Like if that doesn't work, then you can think about what it is, but try it.
And it ended up actually really working because you won.
Which is so nuts. Like I honestly, truly, like anyone who knows me would tell you, like every week I'd be like, bye guys, so nice to meet you. Like I would say goodbye to the cast, the crew, the catering. I would be like, I'm out. I'm definitely going to get kicked out this week. It was insane to me that I lasted to the end.
Wow. I think it's honestly incredible, to be honest with you, what you're able to come from and then still build upon. And now look at you with you're signing with Sony Music Records. You've got all these new singles. I believe you've got a new album coming out. Is that correct?
Yeah. Working on an album right now. And the thing with that as well is that, it's really hard to win, and then it's really hard to stay in the industry. That's tough too. And I think that for me, like I just had to keep going. Okay, you got this far. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep it going and release songs and just keep working. So I'm proud to say that I'm still working in this industry, because a lot of people, it's tough. It's a tough one to wake up every day and motivate yourself.
So what keeps you going every single day?
Definitely the love I have for singing. If you strip everything away, the videos and the dancing and the lights and the cameras and the action, the love I have for truly singing, it trumps it all. And that's what keeps me going, because I think about my joy and what truly gives me that feeling, and it's only singing, actual singing with just a piano.
Wow. I think there's something truly remarkable about music and how music it's kind of like stories as well. Like with music, you're telling a story.
Yeah.
Like stories are at the heart of it. But then music is the emotion. Music plays to the soul and to the spirit and mind, and it changes things. It's astounding, honestly. And
music is so powerful. And don't you think as well, when you're going through, say, something sad or something happy or whatever, and you listen to a song that's in that genre, in that vibe of what you're feeling, it heightens every emotion, because it's so powerful and you can be so connected to it.
Yeah. I remember when I went through a stage of depression, like all the music I would listen to would be heavy metal. I couldn't stand screamo. I hated screamo, but it would always be this. Yeah, it was far too much for me. Yeah, but like it'd be heavy metal, hard rock, the most darkest songs you could possibly listen to, and that made me feel even worse. And I thought it'd be my escape, and that would actually help me, but it made me feel even worse. And then when I came out of it and I got rid of all the music, I started feeling so much lighter. And that's what music does to people.
Yes.
It has the power to bring you to a place of even more depression, or can bring you out of it. you know?
Definitely. And you have to make the right choice of what you're listening to at the time, in what you need at the time. Definitely. Music is so powerful. I mean, even just instruments, like sometimes I can listen to people, I've got friends that are such incredible musicians and just play a piano like solo, and I could cry just from how they play and the places they go, and it's so powerful.
I think I was watching one of Guy Sebastian's Instagram videos, and he's just messing around on the piano.
Oh, so talented.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no. He's and
target the heartstrings. Yeah.
And Guy as well, like he was my mentor obviously on the show, and such a mentor in life as well. And he taught me, you know, because I was like, oh, I can't play an instrument. I've always wanted to play an instrument and, you know, never really did that. And that's something I wish I did. And he said to me, like, but your voice is an instrument. You need to learn how to sing using it as an instrument. Because, you know, if you put a little inflection on a certain word or put vibrato here or sing a bit softer there, it changes the way a lyric comes across.
Yeah. And it's really amazing. It's amazing how you can use your vocal cords as well, and how powerful your vocal cords are.
So powerful, yeah, definitely.
So I want to ask you a few more questions, Samantha, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So this one might be a bit hard to answer, but we'll see how we go.
Okay.
If you could ask a question to anyone alive or dead, who would it be, why, and what question would you ask them?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Wow. Well, oh my gosh. I mean, there are so many like people that I would probably say I'd want to know something about. Like definitely, I love conspiracy theories, so I'd really love to talk to Marilyn and JFK and ask what was going on there, stuff like that. But no.
You and the rest of the world.
Right. I think I would definitely ask my mum what happens next.
Wow.
What is it? Where did you go? Are you okay? Where are you? Like, what is it like? Because I feel like a lot of people, and it's obviously very heavy, but death and what happens in the afterlife is such a question nobody knows, and I'm like everyone else curious, and I just would. It's so weird to me that my mum knows. Do you know what I mean? Like she knows what happens, and she's my mum. So I would be like, okay, lay it out for me. What do I have to look forward to?
I think that's where the faith really comes in, because
totally.
You got the faith to believe that your mum is in a better place,
Definitely. And that's something I definitely know.
Yeah.
I definitely know that. Like I obviously still have so many questions about where she is and how, and I think that our minds can't even conceptualize what's truly next. But I definitely know she's okay. I can feel that.
I like that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
I think people needed to hear that. So, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. If you were to be given another chance at life, what would you do differently, or would you do something differently?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, no, because I am a big like, regrets. I don't really believe in. I believe it's written. I believe that your life is written and it's how it's meant to be. I do believe that, yes, certain things can change the course a little bit, but I think the big things that happen are meant to happen, and they may change days and hours from little turns you take.
Yeah.
But I do believe what's meant to be for us has been written and is meant to be. So I think that I would end up living like this anyway.
I love that, because our lives are written by the master author. Like, you can't, there's no one that can write our lives better than, I believe, God himself.
I agree, yeah.
If we go our separate ways, we run away, That's all part of the story.
Exactly.
And that's the power of it. We can relate to other people. We can help other people with our own story.
Yes.
And it's all been written for us. And yet
Exactly.
we may run away as far as we possibly can, but eventually one page turns, a new chapter begins.
Yeah.
Mm.
100,000%. It's whatever, it's already meant to be that way. And I think, like you said, you can run away, you can, change a small thing, but it'll end up happening anyway. The things that, because I used to, when my mum passed away, that's something I was like, if we knew earlier, if we just, and I spent a lot of time thinking about that.
Mm.
And then I spoke to my dad about it, and we both were like, no, it's horrible, but it had to happen. It meant it was going to happen. That was already written for her story, and it was a lesson to us, and so take that from it. So yeah, I believe it's all out there for us already.
And then when that person eventually leaves their story behind, we get to read it. And
exactly,
best thing ever.
Yeah,
we can share. Like now you're sharing your story and also your mum's story and the impact that she left on your life and on the world.
Immeasurable to anything else. Yeah,
absolutely. So I love how you answered that question. Well done.
Oh,
Both of those questions, they were very hard.
Yeah, they are hard.
My last question for you, or sorry, two more questions for you. The last one's more fun.
Okay.
But this one is my legacy question. So I love asking this one at the end. So you've been able to reach the age of 100 and your friends have put together a film for you of everything you've ever said and everything you've ever done. Don't ask me how they got it all. They just did. We'll call it magic, right? And they've shown it to you on your 100th birthday. What do you want that film to say and to show about your life?
Wow. These questions are incredible. Well, I always say of my legacy I will hope to leave behind is kindness. I hope that people are like, oh, she's kind. She's a nice person. She's generous. Like, I try to be empathetic to people and their lives and their stories and what's going on. So I'd hope it would be that I gave all I could to friendships, family, every relationship in my life, and possibly through my music helped people. I think like not had a hit, but had a song that, was someone's song when they were feeling down to get them through something, like in terms of career. But aside from that, just kindness and that I was a good person. I think that's all. That's what I want to be known for. You've
been very kind to me today in coming on my show and sharing your story, because I've always said, imagine a world where everyone was just kind. What would that world look like?
I mean, it would be heaven. That's why we're here. It's not possible. Yeah.
If everyone could just be a little bit more kinder in their life, how better would everyone's life, not just yours, but everyone else's, because kindness breeds kindness.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, that is what's missing from our world. And you know what too? I was listening, I don't know if you're a fan of Eckhart Tolle.
Yes, I am.
But I love him. And I was listening to the Soul Sundays podcast with him and Oprah. And he says, how, everyone feels a little incomplete and you're always kind of looking for something. And we're always, trying to compare or, it's not good enough or whatever it may be. And he says, the only thing that makes us think that way is ego. The soul is complete. The soul is complete. The third eye, wherever he calls it, is complete, knows who it is completely fine. And then it's ego that drives everything else. And that comes back to kindness. If we just let go of ego, the world would just be great. You know, if there weren't levels and stages and, you know, things that separate us in that way, and we just let go of all of that, then the world would just be just what heaven is going to be like.
Heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth.
Like,
yeah.
And I think that what Eckhart Tolle says is very true about removing ego from one's life. And I've always said that for many people, this is how you learn humility first and foremost, is through failure. So I always say, like, in failure, you learn humility. So don't be afraid to fail.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%, because it's not until you fall and also who's there for you when you do get back up to is a huge lesson. Shedding your life of people that don't need to be there, and absolutely, falling is the best thing for you. It feels like the worst at the time, but it's the best thing for you.
I love, I don't know if you know who Les Brown is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Les Brown, I'm trying to get him on.
Wow.
I've actually connected. I'm just trying to pull along the line a little.
Yeah. Amazing.
But I love his quote that he says, if you fall down, keep your head up and look up, because if you look up, you can get up, and you're constantly looking forward. I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Every single time, like, don't fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
Keep your head up and looking forward, because that's important. That's where you're going to go.
And there's something to be said about that. You know, like, forward. Past is behind you, move forward. Something I definitely remind myself of every day. Like, there's so much more that's going to happen next week that I don't even know about.
Yeah. And just being mindful of the future, not allowing it to, I guess, make us stressed or worried.
Yes.
I always used to say, don't focus on the what ifs, because they haven't happened yet. The what ifs will just cause you more stress. Focus on the what is.
Yes.
Makes you more present, you know.
Oh my gosh. And Eckhart talks about that too, is, you know, being in the stillness and I'm like, I need to practice that. That is my lesson that I want to learn, because that is where peace is.
Yeah. Finding inner peace is, it's one of those things, lifelong journey, I think.
Yes.
Very, very important. But
I think that's why we're still here, though. Otherwise, I think when you learn that, you're done.
Yeah. How funny is that, right? It's a bit ironic.
Yeah, it really is. I know.
Yeah. But moving to more of a fun question now.
Yes.
I'm a filmmaker, so I love asking this question.
Yes.
What is your favourite film, your favourite actor, and the last movie that you watched?
Oh, good. Okay. Favorite film. Oh, I have so many. I mean, I have some fun ones like My Best Friend's Wedding and Grease and Titanic. Like, I love those because they were my mum and I's movies we used to watch together. I feel like Interstellar's pretty incredible. I feel like that movie's like, what? Took me like 5 days to get over it. I was like, what is that? I was like, I'm so confused. And then when I kind of got it, I was like, that's genius. Favorite film? Wow, that is a really tough question. Let me come back to it.
Yep.
Favorite actor? Julia Roberts.
Agreed.
I just love her. Like, I just feel like she can do no wrong. She is, I just feel like when she's acting, and obviously she's acting, she's playing a role, but there is a realness about her in everything she plays as well that I feel like is, how are you doing that? How are you playing a role and still showing us that there's a realness inside of you? Like that, it's mind-blowing to me. I love her, and I just love her, like, follow her on Instagram and love all her interviews. She's so kind. And the last movie I watched was, what was the last movie I watched? I watch a lot of movies. I love movies and TV shows. The last movie I watched, I think was, do you know what it was? Funny enough, Julia Roberts, it was Notting Hill. It was on TV the other day.
I love Notting Hill.
Yeah, and I've seen it a million times, but I can watch it over and over again. Like, I love it that much. So I watched it again.
I love the ending. The ending is my favourite bit.
So good, yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it. But
oh my gosh, if you haven't seen it, get onto that immediately. Brilliant film.
Please go and watch it. It took me ages, believe it or not, to actually sit down and finally watch it. When I did, I was like, damn, I was missing out for so long.
So long. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, it was so pure.
It's feel good movies, yeah, but it's really pure. Yeah.
And who was his flatmate? What's his name? Right.
I love him.
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious. Yeah.
It's
so
just like
good.
He's the most disgusting but the most real person.
Yeah. You're like, I know everyone's like, I know someone like that, like that's a little gross. I know that person. Actually, speaking of films, I know this wasn't one of the questions, but there is a movie called The Shack. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes, I've heard that one. Yeah, with Sam Worthington. Yeah.
Yeah, and I very randomly watched it, and it was like on TV, another thing that it was like on Foxtel or something, and I was like, oh, what's this? And a lot of the lessons in that movie were weirdly what my mum spoke about when she was sick. So many of the things that happens in that movie, she was like saying, like when she was conscious, because she was going through a bit of stuff with in and out of being able to talk and stuff like that. And when she did talk, so many things in that movie line up with what she said, which I think is really powerful.
I love how movies just do that to us.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
This is a little bit of a wake-up call.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Samantha, it's been an absolute joy and pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much for your kindness, your generosity. And where can people find you?
Well, on my website, which I think is samanthajadeofficial.com, maybe.
Yes.
I don't even know. Is that right?
That's
and my Instagram, which is just Samantha Jade. I've been sharing a few things on Instagram lately about I'm about to do one actually a little bit on anxiety, just like giving people a little bit of more insight into my life and my world. And but thank you. Today's been so great. Like conversations like this, I don't feel like you have very often. So it's really nice to kind of peel back the layers and go deep. I love it.
I'm glad. Unboxing stories. You're one.
Love it. I love unboxing. I love it. Did you like it too?
I think he liked it. He stayed.
I think he liked it. Oh gosh, I know, which is huge for him.
Good job, buddy. Thank you so much, Samantha.